Hello and welcome back to Selenium training. This is starting with Selenium WebDriver part 2. In part 1, we have seen how Selenium WebDriver works, Selenium WebDriver architecture. Then we have seen a Selenium WebDriver test case for a job search scenario. Then we have seen executing the same test on different browsers. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at web elements, what are web elements, and different locating strategies like by dot, whatever locating strategy like id, XPath, name, all those. Then finally we'll be looking at different inspecting tools for different browsers. Let's get started. Selenium sees everything on a web page as a web element. For example, consider elements like text box, button, link, drop down. All these will be considered as web element. For simple ones or for most of them, web element type is used. We have a web element interface which is used for most of them. For example, text box, button, link, or input fields. For all of those, we have web element interface to deal with. When you go to the complex ones, we have separate classes designed to deal with them. Some of the complex ones are drop downs, alerts or pop-ups. Then we have frames. When you want to deal with these complex ones, we have to use those separate classes. For example, we have select class to deal with drop downs. Let's look at WebElement interface. Similar to WebDriver interface, we have WebElement interface. WebElement interface provides different methods which are used to interact with web elements. For example, we have click, that is used to click on a web element, get text, that is used to get the displayed text from a web element, get attribute, that is used to get a specific attribute from web element. Then we have send keys to send keys or type on a web element. Like that, web element interface provides different methods to work with web elements on browsers. Now the same commands are going to work on different browsers, whether it's Firefox or Internet Explorer, Chrome, or whatever browser you are using. The same commands are going to work. When you use driver.findElement to find a specific web element on the web page, it's going to return web element type that we have already seen. Whether it's Firefox browser, Internet Explorer, or Chrome, you can use the same commands and they are going to work. That's really great and very useful. We don't need to worry about different browsers or web elements on different browsers. Same commands are going to work on different browsers. Let's look at identifying web elements in WebPage. For many Selenium commands, a target is required. For example, if you want to click, where to click, we need a target. Target identifies a web element uniquely in the context of web application. You have your web page and the target identifies a specific element like button or input field or text box, a specific element to perform the action. Target consists of the locating strategy and the format is by dot locating strategy type like id or name or XPath, and you give the value. We have already seen it's like by.id and you give the id value. We use the by class to locate the web elements in Selenium WebDriver. We have already seen that we use by class in findElement. Whatever we are going to discuss now, this is specific to Selenium WebDriver. We are going to look at identifying web elements or different locating strategies with Selenium WebDriver. One thing to remember about findElement command is whenever you use findElement, it's always going to match the first web element using the given locating strategy. If you want to deal with multiple elements, then we have findElements. You can use that command to get all the web elements matching to the given locating strategy. findElements will be really useful when you want to process a group of web elements. For example, say you have a table, you want to take all the cell values and do some processing or comparison, then you can use findElements and get all the cells. Here we are working with group of cells, not an individual cell, so that's why we have to use findElements and we can get all the cells and do all the required processing or comparison. Let's start with locating by id. Locates the first element with matching id attribute. Here is an example code. You can just say by dot id and whatever id value, it's going to match to the first element. with the ID value. The next we have locating by name. It is also similar to ID. It works with the name. Locates the first element with matching name attribute. And the example is like this. You can say by dot name and then whatever the name you are looking for. Actually, when you say by dot, then it's going to display all the locating strategies that you can use, like ID, name, XPath, all will be displayed, and based on whatever is best for your web element, you can use that respective locating strategy. We will see the actual code and how they work soon. The next one is locating by link text. This is a really nice way to use for hyperlinks. Locates the first hyperlink with matching link text. This is a simple method of locating a hyperlink in your web page by using the text of the link. And the example is just like this, by dot link text, then you have to give whatever link text. Remember that it is using the full link text. It is not some partial link text or some part of it. It's the complete full link text. With by dot link text strategy, you need to use the full link text. Remember that. We have already seen these locating strategies specific to Selenium IDE. I think it was Selenium IDE chapter video tutorial 2. Now we are looking these locating strategies specific to Selenium WebDriver. Let's see how they are going to work. I am going to Eclipse now. I have already got Eclipse open. And this is indeed job search test case that we had looked in part 1. Let's copy this test case and let's make one more class. I'm clicking on indeed job search.java, then right click and say copy. Then again you can just say paste. It's going to give you a dialog to enter a new name. Let's say locating strategies, then click on OK. This is our new test and you can see the class name is locating strategies. We don't need all the code, so let me delete the code that we don't want. We want to execute on Firefox, so let me uncomment that. On all other browsers, let me just delete the code for them. Let me delete all the code from first driver.find statement. Okay, it looks good. Even we don't need the system.out.print statement. In indeed job search test case, we have already seen how by.id works. We have already given a ID locating strategy and we have seen how it works. So let me just delete all these and say this is the example for locating by ID. Locating by ID. Let me comment that statement as well. Now let's look at locating by name. Let's go to Firefox. I have got Indeed site open. Let's try to find the what field with name strategy. If I right click and say inspect with Firebug, it's a input tag and ID is there, even name is there. Let's assume that ID is not there, then we can use name. We can just say by.name and the value is Q. Let's write the code. Here I can say locating by name example, and this is the code driver dot find element and by dot name, the name is Q. Then let's say send keys. We want to type Selenium. Okay, it looks good. If I run this one, it's going to open Indeed site and then find the what field by name locating strategy and then type Selenium into it. Let's run this. Okay, Indeed site has opened. You can see it has typed Selenium in what field. Let's look at link text locating strategy. I'm going to Indeed site. Let's find a link. Post your CV. This seems to be a link. Let me inspect that. Okay, it's an anchor tag. In that I have the text post your CV. There is one more tag B, that is nothing but to make it bold, but still the whole text is there in anchor tag, so I can use it. If I click on it, it's going to go to some CV upload page. Okay, create an Indeed CV. This is the page. After clicking on that link, let me go back. Let me copy the text. Let's write the code to click on it. Let me comment that and then say locating by link text, and the code for that is driver dot find element by dot link text. The link text is post your CV dot click. Let's run this code. It will open Indeed site and then click on post your CV link. You can see create an Indeed CV page. That means it has clicked on post your CV link. This is how link text locating strategy is going to work. You just need to give by dot link text and the complete text of the link. Let me close the browser. You will get all this code. I'm going to upload all these Java projects and all the files to the website. The next locating strategy is locating by partial link text. This is really useful when you have some parts of the link text changing. Then you can look at whatever the static part or the part not changing, and you can just mention that to locate that hyperlink. Locates the first hyperlink which contains specified link text. Here is an example. Here we are saying that by dot partial link text can't access. Look for a hyperlink which contains can't access link text. The next locating strategy is locating by XPath. Whatever locating strategies we have discussed so far, like ID, name, link text, partial link text, if they are not working, that means if you can't find those for an element to locate, then you should use XPath. You can able to write XPath locating strategies in almost all cases. It's a great way of locating web elements. We have already covered XPath locating strategy in a very detailed way in Selenium ID chapter video tutorial 2. If you have not gone through it, please go through it. We have covered different XPath strategies like XPath attributes, XPath relative, XPath position, all those. I have also made a separate video for that so that it's easy for you to go and watch. I will show you that link soon. When you use XPath locating strategy, it's going to locate the first element as specified by your XPath strategy. Here is an example. In this example, we are saying that driver.findElement, then by.xpath. This is the XPath strategy. We are saying that we are looking for an input field and it has placeholder attribute with value email. So this is going to look for a input field and the placeholder should be email. It's going to locate such element. The next one is locating by CSS selector. CSS stands for Cascade Style Sheets. CSS is used to give look and feel and style for web elements. You can change the way the web element looks. That is done by using CSS styles. When you use the CSS selector, it's going to locate the first element with the given CSS locating strategy. Here is an example. In this example, we are saying that driver.findElement, then by.css selector, use the CSS locating strategy. Then we are saying that CSS equal to the CSS style is like that. It's an input field, that's the input tag. Then dot the class the CSS used is input underscore submit. It's going to find the element input field and the class or the CSS style is input underscore submit. It's going to find the element like that. Let's see how these locating strategies work. Let's write some code and find out. I'm going to Eclipse. Let me comment this. Now we'll be looking at partial link text. So locating by partial link text. Let's go back to Indeed site and find a link. If you see here, employer/post job free, this is a link with lot of text. Let's just use some part of it. Let's say post job and see how it works with partial link text locating strategy. If I click on it, it's going to go to a new site. It's Indeed for employers. Let's go back. We want to use post job just up to that. So I can say driver dot find element by dot partial link text, and the partial link is post job dot click. It should be able to find the link and click on it with partial link text strategy. Let's execute and see. Okay, it has opened Indeed site and I think it has clicked on employer slash post job free link. You can see Indeed for employers. It has worked. This is how partial link text works. Let's look at XPath strategy. If I go back to Indeed site, we need an element to write XPath strategy. Let's look at this one. This seems to be an image. If I inspect that, it's an image, and if you see, there is no name or there is no ID. We have title, then we have source, we have alt text as well. Let's say we want to use the title. Let's write a XPath saying that a image tag with title Indeed job search, and let's see whether it's finding or not. Let's also try to get the src value, the value of the image source link. Let's write the code. I'm saying locating by XPath. Let me comment the above statement. The code we want to write is driver dot find element by dot XPath. Let's write the XPath strategy. We need to give in quotes. It's 2 forward slashes, then img, the image tag, then within brackets, the attribute we want to look is title. So at title, then title equal to, let me copy the value, it's Indeed job search. So that's the title in single quotes. That's the title. It's going to find out the element. Then dot get attribute. We have get attribute function and it's going to get value of the specified attribute. So get attribute and the value of src. Let me give semicolon. Let's resize this. This is the statement. Here we are saying that driver.findElement using XPath strategy, a image with title Indeed job search. Once after finding, get the attribute src. Let's get the value of that attribute and let's print that out. I want to say system.out.println and we want to print that this is the value. We don't need semicolon. This statement gives the value, so let's put that statement. Let me resize it properly. Okay, it all looks good. We don't need this semicolon. Let's execute this and see. It has opened Indeed site and it should get src value from the image. Let's go back to Eclipse. It seems to be executed. Let's go back. Okay, you can see that we have got the value. It says job search Indeed engb png. Let's check the value. It's job search Indeed engb png. Okay, we have got the correct src value. This is how XPath strategy works. You can just use whatever attribute you want. It is just not ID, name or title. You can use whatever attributes and you can use the combination. Regarding the XPath tutorial I'm talking about, you can go to ABSoftTrainings website. Let me go to the website, then click on Selenium free videos link. If you click on Selenium free videos link, then we have a number of free videos here. Here is the tutorial for XPath and it's in very detail. You can click on that link and you can watch the video. It's 16 minutes video and all different XPath strategies and their syntaxes are explained in a very detailed way. Let's look at CSS locating strategies. Let's go to Indeed site. Here we need an element with CSS styles. I think find jobs, it's a input tag, but you can see its style is completely different. It's very stylish. I think CSS is used. If I inspect that element, you can see that its ID is fj and there is a class. That class is CSS class. and the class name is input submit. So we can use CSS strategy for this. We can say that a input tag with class input underscore submit. Let's write the CSS strategy. I'm going to Eclipse. I can copy that and just use the same code. Let me comment the above statement. Here, locating by CSS selector. Then in find element, we should pass by.css selector. So it's by.css selector. And what's the value of the CSS selector? It's CSS equal to input dot input underscore submit. We are saying that we are looking for a input tag with CSS style input underscore submit, and let's also get an attribute and print that out. Let's say we want value which says find jobs, so I can give value attribute to print out. So get attribute value, and there is some error. I'm trying to find that out. Let me check. Okay, we got extra brace here. Let me delete that. Okay, error has gone. Let's execute this and see. I'm clicking on run button. It has opened Indeed site. There is some error. Let's see what's the error. Let's go to up. Let's see the error. It says the given selector CSS equal to input dot input underscore submit is not valid. Okay, there is something wrong. Let me check. Oh, sorry, it's my mistake. We don't need to give CSS equal to, because we are already saying here it's of type CSS. So again, in the strategy, we don't need to give CSS equal to. It is just the value, the strategy value. Let me execute. Hopefully it should go fine this time. Indeed site has opened. It should get the value. Let's go back and check. Yeah, we have got find jobs, so it's working fine. So just remember that for CSS, we don't need to give CSS equal to. That's not required. It is just the CSS strategy value, and this is how CSS is going to work. Next we have by.tagname and by.classname Selenium WebDriver locating strategies. These two locating strategies are useful to work with group of web elements. Using tag name locating strategy, you can say that get me all the elements with a given tag name. Here is an example. You can say that driver dot find elements by dot tag name a. This is going to give you the list of links on your web page. Once you have the list, it's up to you what you want to do. You can go through all the list and find out whether all the links are correct or not, or whether all the links have proper target URLs, like that. Here in the example, we are using dot size function to get the count of all the links in the web page. Next we have locating by class name. This is also similar to tag name, but here we are using class name. Using this locating strategy, you can get all the elements with a given class name or display style. The example here, it is saying that driver.find elements by dot class name input text. That means find all the elements which has display style as input text or class name as input text, and then we are getting the count. With these two locating strategies, you can use driver.find element as well, but that is not recommended. They are always going to return the first element with a given tag name or class name. Let's see how tag name and class name locating strategies work. I'm going to Indeed site, then say we want all the links displayed on this web page. Then we need to use by dot tag name locating strategy. I can say like this. Let me just copy this, then just paste that, then comment the above statement. Now we are going to write find elements function. So I can say driver dot find elements, then we are going to use by dot tag name. So by dot tag name, and the tag name we want to give is a. Then we want to get the size, the count of links. So size, it's going to print out the count of all the links on the web page. Let's run this one. I'm running this. Okay, Indeed site has opened. It's going to get the count now. If you go to Eclipse, you can see the count is 16. That means on this web page there are 16 links. Now once you have the list using this statement, this is going to give you the list of web elements with that given by.tagname strategy. Then you can use a for loop and go through the list. We have for loop concept coming soon. Then we'll see how to go through the list and how to get different details like that. Let's say we want to get the link text of the first link. Then we can use find element strategy. So I can say that the same statement, but I can say like this: instead of find elements, I can use find element. Then I can say dot get text, which is going to get the link text. Let me run this one. Okay, execution done. Let's check the results. If you see the results, there are total 16 links in the web page, and the first one is find jobs. That means it's getting this one, which is the first link. You can click on it and it's getting that one. And this is how by.tag name locating strategy works. Let me change this to tag name. Now let's see class name. Let's go to Indeed site and let's say that look for a specific class. If I inspect this input field, it has a class input text. If I inspect the where field, it has a class with input text. That means these two fields have same class input text. And let's see if there are any other fields. There are no other input fields, so only these two input fields. And with the class input underscore text, let's write find elements function and class name locating strategy to get these two input fields. I'm going to Eclipse. Let me copy this tag name code. I'm copying this code. Let me comment the tag name code as well. So here locating by class name, and what we want to do is by dot class name. So by dot, and the class name is, let me copy the text, it's input underscore text. That's the class name we are looking for in quotes, input underscore text. This statement is going to give you the count of the web elements with the given class name with the class name input underscore text. Next, let's say we want to use find element and we want to type in the first web element with class name input underscore text. Let me write that statement. I can say that driver dot find element by dot class name input underscore text. Then I can say dot send keys and we want to type Selenium. I don't need this system.println statement. Let's run this one and see how it goes. The first statement, it's going to return the count, how many elements are there with the given class name. Then the second statement, it's going to type Selenium in the first element, which is what field. Let's run this one. You can see that it has typed Selenium in what field. If you see the results, okay, there are two web elements with class name input underscore text, that is as expected. These two are the input fields with class name input underscore text. This is how class name locating strategy works. Main point to remember here is once you use driver.find elements, it's going to give you the list of web elements matching the locating strategy. Then you can use for loops and then go through the list and do whatever processing or comparison you want. We'll see that in the loops concept, which is coming soon. So far we have seen different locating strategies that are used with Selenium WebDriver. These are really useful. Next we are going to look at WebElement inspecting tools for different browsers. We have already seen Firebug for Firefox. If you go to Firefox, you can use Firebug and you can inspect whatever element you want. Similar to that, for Google Chrome, we have developer tools. You can go to its menu and then you can go to more tools. Then you can click on developer tools. It's going to launch the inspecting tool. Using this, you can click on this icon, then go to whatever element you want. It's going to take you to that element HTML code. Let me close this. You can also go to whatever element you want and you can just say right click and inspect element. It's also going to open developer tools. There is also a shortcut F12 to open this developer tool. If you go to IE, in IE as well we have developer tools. You can go to IE tools and then click on F12 developer tools. It's going to open a inspecting tool. Then you can click on this arrow mark and then whatever element you want, it's going to inspect that element and show its HTML code. Similar to other browsers, you can go to whatever element you want, right click and say inspect element. It's going to take you to that element HTML code. You can also use F12 shortcut to launch this. I think you can also open Firebug using F12 shortcut. If I close this and then I'm clicking on F12, okay, good, Firebug has opened. So remember that there are WebElement inspecting tools for Google Chrome, IE and Firefox. You can use F12 shortcut to launch them. For IE we have developer tools, for Google Chrome we have developer tools, and for Firefox you can use Firebug. These tools are really useful to view the HTML code, to view the element properties, and you can also change the HTML code using these tools. It's good to know these tools because in some companies Firefox is not allowed, especially financial companies, or just to say you only want to work with IE or Google Chrome, then you should know the inspecting tools for those browsers that we have already seen. We have covered quite a lot. In previous chapter, we have seen how to start with Java and Eclipse, then we have created a Java project and a Java program. In this chapter, we have seen how to start with Selenium WebDriver, then different Selenium WebDriver locating strategies, and we have written a Selenium WebDriver test case. In next chapters, we'll see how to use Java programming language features like conditions, loops, classes, objects, interfaces, and inheritance in Selenium automation. This gives you very good technical experience required to do Selenium automation. I don't want to give you some stupid examples like x equal to 10, y equal to 20 and then use conditions or loops with them. I want to show you how Java is used with Selenium in day-to-day job activities, in real-world job. It will be more effective learning. Step by step, we'll get into basic to very advanced levels. Then we will also work on very powerful and advanced frameworks for Selenium automation like page objects, keyword driven, data driven, and finally hybrid framework.